Fox 8 News, awarded Best Newscast in America. Fox 8 News, we investigate. Fox 8 News starts now.
Good evening, I'm Meg Gatto. Right now, an international manhunt is on for a suspect allegedly involved in the Paris terror attacks. Rick Leventhal is in Paris with the latest on the investigation.
French fighter jets are hitting ISIS targets in Syria. The strikes in retaliation for the deadly terror attacks in Paris. French authorities are also hunting for this man. His name is Salah Abdeslam. French police say the 26-year-old rented the Volkswagen that carried terrorists to the Bataclan concert hall. That's where an American band was playing, and for so many people, it's where a night turned into horror and carnage. At least 89 died at Bataclan. Some survived the assault by hiding in the basement.
Which we managed to lock the door and just barricade ourselves in, turn the lights out, and we were then trapped there for the next 3 hours just having to listen.
A memorial in California on Sunday for an American victim of the violence. 23-year-old Noemi Gonzalez was in Paris for a semester abroad program when she was killed at one of the cafes.
She wanted to have a career and a family.
As Paris mourns, some in U.S. law enforcement are blaming smartphone encryption for the lack of intelligence before the attacks.
We, in many respects, have gone blind as a result of the commercialization and the selling of these devices that cannot be accessed either by the manufacturer or, more importantly, by us in law enforcement, even equipped with the search warrants and judicial authority.
As a sign of solidarity with France, President Obama has ordered all flags at government buildings, embassies, and ships at sea to be flown at half-staff until Thursday. In Paris, Rick Leventhal, Fox News.
Here at home, hundreds gathered at Lafayette Square this afternoon to remember the victims of the attack. In a show of support, the French Consul General calls overwhelming.
Allons enfants de la patrie.
A familiar tune for the dozens of French nationals living in New Orleans.
Contre nous de la tyrannie.
A song uniting them, even in tragedy. The French national anthem. Those who don't speak the language stood in silent solidarity, their presence speaking volumes.
Today we are all citizens of Paris, all citizens of France.
The French community in New Orleans is large. So many this weekend feeling so far.
I am feeling really sad, and it's more difficult to be not in France.
The Consul General to France says he's never experienced such an outpouring of support. Signs hung around the statue of Henry Clay say it all.
It's very clear that, I can feel so much affection and love for my country.
That love clearly on display Sunday afternoon.
I got out my French regalia, my beret and my scarf and my flag, and I probably look a little bit funny, but I just want to show solidarity.
I think it's great that the two communities are here together, sharing feelings and showing support. It's really appreciated. We love that.
The terror attacks Friday night didn't just affect one group of people.
It's not just about France and Paris. It's about, humanity and humankind.
And the resilience of people around the world standing united, unwilling to give in to terrorists. France says some of its warplanes have hit ISIS targets in Syria. French leaders say the planes took out command and recruitment centers in Raqqa, the group's de facto capital. Today's airstrikes also hit an ISIS training camp and ammunition depot. According to a French official, all targets are destroyed. Panic this evening amongst a crowd of mourners at a memorial at one of the sites of Friday's terror attacks. People were lighting candles and laying flowers at the Place de la République when someone claimed to hear gunshots. That caused dozens of people to panic and start running. According to French authorities, the panic ended quickly and police have cleared the memorial. The G20 summit started today in Turkey. Following the fatal attacks in Paris, French President François Hollande canceled his trip. Other representatives from the country will go in his place. The two-day summit brings leaders of the world's 20 largest economies together to focus on trade, energy, and the environment. The attacks are expected to dominate the agenda. In a sign of support for the victims, U.S. leaders lower the flag at the Capitol in Washington to half-staff. The flag was put at half-staff earlier this morning. New Orleans police and the FBI name a person of interest connected to the Uptown restaurant robberies. They're looking for 21-year-old Dwayne Butter Wins. An Orleans Parish grand jury indicted him Thursday in connection to a fatal shooting in May. The NOPD and FBI believe he may have information about the recent rash of Uptown armed robberies. Investigators say he's not a suspect, but detectives would like to speak with him. Masked men robbed employees and customers at Patois, Atchafalaya, and the Monkey Hill Bar in recent months. Well, after a fall field this weekend, a big difference is on the way for the beginning of the work week. Meteorologist Renee Brunet has details on the changes.
Yes, a big change indeed. Today, much nicer weather. After the past 2 days, nice fall weather. Tomorrow's going to be much warmer, more humid. It's going to feel that way. And then we have a stormy Tuesday and then a cool down on Wednesday. All this due to a developing storm system out over the south central portion of the United States over Texas here. You can see showers already developing. And as a result, there is a potential for severe weather over Texas and Oklahoma tomorrow. That is going to edge closer to Louisiana, but I don't think we'll see any precipitation here until possibly late in the day tomorrow. Tuesday looks like our wet day. I'll have all the details on that coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Renee. Well, the Saints drop a second straight game, this time to Washington. Juan Kincaid joins us now to look at what happened.
Well, 47 points giving up to a team that doesn't come close to averaging half of that per game. Here are your lowlights from our nation's capital. It didn't take long for this game to heat up. Washington's opening drive and quarterback Kirk Cousins, who had a monster day, finds his tight end Jordan Reed for the touchdown. 96-yard drive by Washington. They led 7-0. But the Saints came right back down the field, fueled by Mark Ingram on the ground early.
Pitch right side and slipping as he makes his cut is Ingram, but still on his feet, and he's running freely down the far sideline, all the way down to the 30, 25, 20, 15, and inside the 10, pushed out of bounds is Mark Ingram.
From there, Drew Brees finds Brandon Cooks a quick little in-route 4-yard touchdown, but Washington came right back, and once again, as Cousins to Jamison Crowder, the wide receiver. It's a huge touchdown. At that point, Cousins was 9 for 9 for 116 yards and 2 touchdowns. He began the day 10 for 10 passing. Saints still trail 14-7, but not until Brandon Cooks got involved once again. This time, Drew Brees finding him deep over the middle. It's a 60-yard catch and touchdown score for Cooks, the 5th touchdown for Cooks in the last 3 games. But once again, back came Washington, this screen ball to Matt Jones, and you'd think the Saints had never defended a screen pass before. They do it all the time in practice. They need some work on it. 78-yard score by Jones. Washington back up 21-14. Washington would score 33 unanswered points, and here's the 30th.
It's picked off on a tip ball by Golson, and Golson will sashay into the end zone, cakewalking it in from about 5 yards out, untouched as the ball went through the hands of Marcus Colston.
And this is how it would end for the Saints. Down 44-14, Drew Brees looking for Ben Watson, going towards the end zone. It's picked off by Perry Riley Jr., a former LSU Tiger, seals the deal for Washington. Just an awful day for the Saints. 47-14 the final. At one time, this game was tied at 14 apiece. Again, Washington would score 33 unanswered. Afterwards, head coach Sean Payton was asked, is it time for some heads to roll?
We're sitting here after a game, and we're not going to discuss any of those type of changes, certainly not right now.
Did you feel like there was sufficient effort out there?
Yeah, you know, we'll be able to look at that on tape. We had a good week of practice, and I'll be honest with you. I mean, I paid close attention to it in the second half, paid close attention to it. I think there was a lot of frustration. And we'll have a chance to see that. But by and large, I don't know that was the issue.
So now the Saints will head into the bye week, 4-6. We'll have much more from today's game, but later in sports.
Well, Saints fans search for answers following the blowout loss. Today's game was tough, of course, on the black and gold faithful, as the team was dominated from the first snap to the final whistle. Disappointed Hoodats lay blame on the defense for this lopsided loss.
Like the Saints, but this is a horrible season this year. Things need to change on the defensive side of the front. And everybody sees it. Everybody knows it. It just needs to be changed. I mean, I don't know how it's going to change.
To lose 47-14. Is that the score? I think. It's just not good.
The Saints play their next game on November 29th at Houston. A public service will take place this week for musician Alan Toussaint. He died Tuesday in Madrid at the age of 77. The visitation is Friday at the Orpheum Theater on Roosevelt Way. It starts at 8 o'clock in the morning and goes until 10:45. At 11, a tribute to Toussaint will begin. His interment will be private. A wreck on the North Shore leaves a Metairie woman dead. State police say 74-year-old Sandra Burris was driving a Tahoe SUV in Folsom when police say she hit the back of a GMC pickup truck this afternoon. Investigators say the impact caused Burris to drive off the road and her SUV flipped into a ditch. Burris was not wearing a seatbelt. A federal magistrate says lawyers for a city-run trust can't get copies of some BP secret documents and more than a dozen scientific reports. Our partners at NOLA.com, the Times-Picayune report, the judge ruled BP secret documents are irrelevant to a Wisner donation lawsuit. Wisner attorneys argued the documents would help show BP damaged trust property in Lafourche Parish during cleanup from the 2010 oil spill. Another tragedy in France after a high-speed train plunges into a canal. And what led up to a landslide in China, which has left more than a dozen people dead.